Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, and the question is the military against us? Will the military work against us, fight against us, whatever? We're going to get into that. Before we do, I want to welcome all the new people. We've just had a whole bunch of new folks joining, both on the Patreon channel and on YouTube. A couple of things to know if you're new with us is that we are a channel who treats each other respectfully. I like informed, intelligent discussions. I do have to apologize for a couple of things. We've had so many comments on the last few videos. I haven't been able to keep up between all the different channels. I have about 6 channels going on, and I haven't been able to keep up and answer all of the comments. And I've always enjoyed answering and interacting with all of our our subscribers in the past. It's just gotten away from me. I haven't been able to. Today I'm going to catch up and try to let everybody know I read all the comments, and when I hit it with a heart, that means I read the comment. Okay, if I give it a thumbs up, it means I agree or thank you or something like that. And then occasionally it looks like I'm going to have to trim down my responses to those who really call for responses. But it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate every one of them. I do. So getting back to this, here on this channel, we don't argue. We are respectful. We are polite. You can express your opinion once. Don't come back on somebody and tell them that they're foolish, or if they believe this, they're just an idiot, or they haven't been paying attention. That's not what we are here. We are here intelligently communicating with each other. Intelligent posts and comments that other people can learn from. It's even better, and if you're not with us on the Patreon channel, I want to invite you over there. That the link is down below. It's only $1 a month. You can go to another level above, which lets you send direct messages to me and ask questions, and there will be more on that later. But for the entry level, if you just want the entry level, it's only $1 a month, and there's a lot more information over there. And with everything going on, you're going to need that information. And I've always said, even on the YouTube channel, I've always claimed to have the smartest commenters and subscribers in YouTube land, and I hold to that. And it's even better over on Patreon. We have some sharp people over there, and people that you can learn a lot from. Or if you happen to be a subject matter expert in a number of things, you can help others by contributing your knowledge in the discussions of what we're doing. So we have a lot of extra stuff over on Patreon, and I'd love to have you over there if you are one of those who likes to, learn and talk intelligently and such as that. Remember that, like all of my videos, they're all brought to you by the Stonemont Series, the Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and the Hostages to Fortune. These are available either through Amazon, and the link is down below, in paperback or Kindle, or they are available directly from me, autographed if you'd like. There's a P.O. box down there that you can, send me a note or whatever you'd like and send in your payment, or you can order them directly through our website, stonemont.us, stonemont.us, not .com, .us, for us, or United States, however you want to think about it. And you can order those directly down there, and the link is also down below. It's called stonemont.us because this is the Stonemont Series. This is the complete guide to preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse. And you will enjoy them and learn a lot. Okay. The subject today is the military against us. Will they fight against us? Will they attempt to control us if there is a total collapse? If the big M word is instituted? if there is, the last couple of videos that I put up has been about the possibility of a revolution. What happens in that case? And I think there's a lot to be concerned about there. Again, we are not calling for anything like that. We are concerned about that. And I want to talk about how to prepare yourself for it and how to deal with it if it happens. That's what we're about. If you want more political stuff, it's on the American Reversion channel, which is, the link is also right down below. First, I want to preface this by saying, and because I've had a lot of people come on and say, my family has fought in every war since such and such, and so is mine. So let me just put that out there. I am the first generation who did not join the military and fight in a war. Okay, because I saw what was happening in Vietnam in time. Oh yeah, when I was 18, I was all gung-ho until I saw the truth of what our government was doing. I says, they missed me in the draft, and so they ain't getting me. And I went into law enforcement because I did have this desire to serve my community, my country, and such as that. My feelings have since changed on that. I won't go into that. But yes, my family has served ever since before the Revolution. Okay, one of my ancestors was a signer of the Declaration. So I want to get that out of the way, so as to keep anyone from saying, yeah, but my family has fought. Okay, a lot of people's family has fought in every war, and every one of those wars, in my opinion, was about money. And if you need more than that, read Smedley Butlers War is a Racket. Okay. Every war out there is about money, and it's about control. And it's about not just control of the people in other countries, it's the control of the American people. Okay. And I also want to say this, that I have known some fine people in the military, and many of my best friends were either long-term or career military people. Okay. And they are just fine people. Now, 20 or 30 years ago, the military was much different than it is today. The people back then, for the most part, were men, or should I say adults. Women hadn't gotten into the military to the extent that they are now, but they were men. They weren't mamby-pamby button pushers. They weren't ass kissers for the most part. I mean, there's always been ass kissers, right? And every, whether it's military, law enforcement, or whatever, always been ass kissers. And they usually find that they can't make it in the field, so they find themselves in an office job where, like I say, they stay within kissing distance of their next promotion, and they elevate. They float like what floats, right? They float to the top eventually. But back in the day, the quality of the people in the military was much higher than it is today. And as is the quality of law enforcement. Okay, it was much different 30, 40 years ago than it is today. Okay, so I want to make that clear. So, because that will keep anybody from coming on here and say, everybody in the military is a hero. No, they're not. Okay, nor is everybody in law enforcement a hero, or everybody in healthcare, or everybody who's a teacher, or anything like that. Stop it with the ridiculous holding certain professions up to herohood, because it's simply not true. There are exceptional people in all of those fields, and there are a bunch of ding-dongs as well. And if you really want to hear what some people think, go over and read some of our former military subscribers on Patreon, and they'll tell you. The reason for today's video is because the first thing that I saw when I got up, had my first cup of coffee, and got the kids off to school, the first thing I saw in the news was a picture of an Army officer opening a gate down on the border, allowing illegal immigrants into the United States onto what the article said was private land. An Army officer on private U.S. land, not government land, not a port of entry, surreptitiously, obviously, opening a gate for illegal aliens to come in from Mexico. Who knows who these people were? And there was a white bus over waiting to pick these people up. It was the Army officer that opened that gate on private land. Now, when I got further into this, I saw that it was and I'm going to have to put on my glasses here so I can read it. It was something I was unfamiliar with because I'm not military. And it said, well, this was not a Texas National Guard person. Texas verified it's not Texas National Guard or anybody in Texas. They said it was a Title 10 active duty, and it turns out it was an officer from the Missouri National Guard who was down there under Title 10, opening this gate, allowing these illegal immigrants into our country and into Texas. So I had to look it up, see what Title 10 is. Those of you in the military probably know what it is. Everybody else probably doesn't. So I looked it up, and here is from nationalguard.mil about the Guard, Army, National Guard resources, blah, blah, blah. It's from the National Guard fact sheet. It says, while serving under Title 10, active duty means full-time duty in the active military service of the United States. Title 10 allows the President to federalize National Guard forces by ordering them to active duty in their reserve component status or by calling them into federal service in their militia status. So the Missouri National Guard obviously was called up, sent down to Texas, federalized, and ordered by the president or his minions, Mayorkas, or all those people, to open the gate and bring these people in to the white buses waiting to distribute them. Who knows where? Maybe down the block from you. You know, the question has always been, like I first alluded to, the question has always been, when it all falls apart, is the military, what's it going to be? Is it going to be against us? Is it going to be for us? Is it going to be split in half? What's going to happen? Well, we've seen over the last, some years that most of the military and most of the remaining military, because I had a lot of friends of mine who left the military because they wouldn't do what they knew was wrong. And most of law enforcement, I'll say that because I have a lot of law enforcement friends who left because they wouldn't do what they knew to be wrong. Most of the remaining are a bunch of order takers. They're going to do what they are told. So when the Missouri National Guard is told to go down to the Texas-Mexico border and open the gate and allow anybody to come into our country, they're going to do it. And I'm sure so would the Kansas National Guard and the Nebraska National Guard and the Tennessee National Guard and the Alabama Guard and everybody. Going to send them down. Okay. Now, I think that answers the question. Okay. And while I think there are a lot of, and here's why I am not that worried. Because most of those people are fairly marginal people, I'll be honest with you. Fairly marginal people. They think they're all that. And somebody made a comment over in Patreon. They said that their son just got out of the Marines or something, and he said, or it might have been Army, I forget. There was a couple of different references in there, and they said that there are just full-blown communists in the military. And that doesn't mean that everybody in the military is a communist, but there are full-blown communists in the military. And when you think back and ask yourself, would that have even been allowed 40 years ago? The answer is no, absolutely not. I mean, we wouldn't have known because they wouldn't have dared to express their opinions. They would have, well, they just wouldn't have. But it is today. So here's why I'm not all that concerned, but we should be aware. These people, I'd say the majority of them that I know now who are in the military are extremely marginal people. The exceptional ones have either left or they're so close to retirement they're going to try to make it a few more years, because otherwise they will have wasted all those years. I mean, not a waste. We all get a lot out of our experiences and all that, but they're giving up a lot of money that they worked for, right? So they are degrading the military. They've sent the best overseas, to be misused, slaughtered, screwed up. They're going to make sure that they're still over there being kept occupied in other places around the world for those who still believe that they're fighting for our country and fighting for democracy and all of that. But what we have stateside is much, much different. I know we got some of the special guys here stateside. I'm aware of that. I'm fully aware of where they are, too. But they are not the majority. I mean, every one of these branches, I'm not sure if the Marines still have problems filling their quotas or not. Usually the Marines have always done very well because they attract a slightly different type of personality than the Army, Air Force, and Navy. But all of the branches they haven't been able to make their quotas for years. And so they've had to lower and lower and lower and lower their requirements and their standards. And I read something not too long ago, you might have also, that the vast majority of people, even who try to enlist, aren't suitable. They won't let them in because of drug tests, arrests, whatever, gang affiliations, all sorts of things. The military is being filled with people you would not want to come to your house, to be honest. And so while these people are easily led and easily driven, they are not particularly competent. Okay, but they are warm bodies. They will go out there and do things at the direction and the orders of their superiors, and it's the superiors that we have to, be concerned about. And not just the military superiors, it's the civilian leadership. We know what we're talking about when we talk about the civilian leadership, right? Let's chase off that guy who can't stand me gulping my coffee. I tried to make that as loud as I could. When you watch the likes of General Milli Vanilli, or what's that idiot Secretary of Defense's name, Austin? I mean, my gosh, these are the faces of the top of our military. And I know the top of most organizations is not much, It's down in the middle where the real strength and knowledge and competence is. Military and law enforcement. And haven't we seen the collapse of federal law enforcement? Well, I'll be talking more about the FBI probably over on the American Reversion channel, because we keep learning more, don't we? Well, getting back to the question of today, is the military going to be against us? I think that the answer is a resounding yes. They are going to be against us. What should we do? Well, first off, general preparedness, right? So that you don't have to rely on the government. General preparedness means being able to provide for all of your needs, including self-defense. Trying to stay out of whatever's going on. Everybody would like to. But two of the greatest movies about war, and not about war, but about things that have happened here. The Patriot, of course. You look back and I really liked the portrayal of Mel Gibson's character. Having seen what bad things happen in the world and in war, and I would extrapolate that over to law enforcement. Having seen it, he wanted nothing more to do with it. He wanted to keep his family out of it, right? But his family was drug in. Why? Because two of his sons wanted to get involved. Well, one of his sons, and then, that drug him. His family then was victimized. And then he was then he was drawn back in. The other one is, you all know the movie as well as I do. I didn't have to explain that to you. The other one is Shenandoah, Jimmy Stewart's. It's an old movie. If you haven't seen it, you should. Here was a man who was trying to stay out of that war that they call the Civil War until his family was drug into it. Another situation to where one of the young sons got caught up into something. I won't ruin the story for you. There are so many great lessons in that movie. If you haven't watched Shenandoah, it is one of the top movies you should watch. This brings a couple of lessons. First off, I would say try to stay out of things. Now, there is call for involvement, but this isn't the channel where I talk about that. I'll talk about how you should be involved in the American Reversion. When we're talking about preparedness, try not to get caught up in what's going on that's going to suck you in, because it's being driven by powers that are beyond your control, okay, and who want to put you in the grinder. Try to stay out of it. Also, educate your children and your grandchildren as to what's going on. I spend a lot of time sharing my thoughts, news items with my kids. We sit them down. I say, here's what's going on. Here's how they're lying to you. Here's the truth of what's going on in the world. I'm preparing them not to be fodder for the government cannon. Okay? They're not going to be. So realize you have to, in order to solidify your main team, which is your family, your nuclear family. That means your kids, your grandkids. I know there's a lot of people on here that say they've already lost their kids. Their kids are grown adults. They're a bunch of libs. Okay, they went to college, they came back libs, and now they're grown. That's a shame. But one of the main responsibilities of a parent is to raise their children. Raise a child up the way that he should go, and when he is grown, he shall not depart from it. Okay. Raise them to understand what's going on in the world, and raise them not just giving them stuff or teaching them skills, but teaching them life. And that means history, government, finances, economics, things like that. So that's your team. You need to solidify that, and then try to stay out of this. That's my advice. If it does come, if what we're afraid may happen, a splitting of this country, a revolution, revolutions and civil wars can happen, and very often civil wars are caused by revolutions. You first have a revolution, then you have a civil war, a real civil war, not like we had back here, which was not a civil war. But those things happen, and I think the answer has been, or the question has been answered as to whether the military would be for us or against us. It will be against us. So realize that, prepare for it, up your preparedness, food, water, defense, shelter, all that kind of stuff. Grow your gardens, get your tools that you need, be proficient at the things you need to be proficient at, and live your life according to this understanding, this realization that, do you remember that Ronald Reagan said, the government is the problem? You know that. Keep that in mind. Spread it. I'll be talking about what you should do with that over on the American Reversion channel. And remember that I have mirror sites now up on Rumble for both integrated preparedness and American Reversion, in case YouTube just doesn't like what I have to say. Okay, have a good one. Remember, you can get the books on both Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us. If you haven't read them, this is your next important step in preparedness. Join us over on the Patreon channel. There's a lot more information over there you can learn from me and all of our patrons over there. The link down there is down below. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.